Hi, I'm Jeremy, and today I'm going to talk about a game called Level X. This is a game for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, that plays in about 20 minutes, published by Schmidt-Spiele. And the game was published in their Easy Play line of filler games, and it's one of the better titles in that line. I will take a moment to show you the rules of the game, and I'll come back and give you my thoughts on it in a moment. Okay, so here I've set up a 2-player game of Level X. And in a 2-player game or a 3-player game, you'll remove 1 token of each value out of the game. The game's going to play up to 4 players. Each player will get a set of pawns, which will begin off the board. So what you're going to do during this game is you're going to roll these dice, and then you're going to allocate them as you see fit to form up to 4 different groups of numbers. Generally, you want to form groups that have a value of at least 5. So this might be what the red player does. They form a 5. They form a 6, and they form a 7. That would allow them to place a pawn on the 5, 6, and 7 tracks in the first space. That would be the end of their turn. Then the yellow player would roll their dice, and they would have to allocate these. So this would be an unlucky roll. They could use a 5 and a 6, though, if they wanted to. So let's just say they do that. They would move on to the same spaces. That's fine. And the game will just keep going like this back and forth between the 2 players. So let's say this is what the red player rolls. So they could do an 8 and a 9, for example. So as soon as one of the players moves along these tracks and lands on the X, so let's say on red's next turn they rolled the same thing and they did another 8 and a 9. Because they've landed on the X, they would get to take one of these tokens, these 9 tokens, which will be worth 9 points at the end of the game. Then, on every subsequent turn, or every subsequent time that the red created a combination of dice that added up to 9, as long as they remained on the X, they would get to take additional tokens. Now, if yellow ever came up, so let's say yellow was here and rolled a 9, they would bump red off the board, and then red would have to start over on that track. And yellow, in the meanwhile, will have the same situation where they're getting 9s. So for bumping the red player off the track, they would get an initial 9 as well. So the game will go back and forth like that, with players, sliding along the tracks, collecting tokens, and bumping each other back to the start. The game will go until somebody has depleted 3 of these piles, or until these special tiles, which you'll collect as soon as you have a full set of all 6 tokens, and you can collect multiple ones of them. They're worth descending number of points, 5, 12, 9, and 6. As soon as these are all gone, regardless of how many of these individual piles will be gone, the game would also end. So once one of those 2 end triggers happens, you'll count up the victory point tokens, including these that have been collected by each player, and whoever has the most points will win. Okay, so that is Level X by Schmidt-Spiele, and you can see why it's put into the Easy Play line. It's not an especially complicated game. I would say, however, that's still a very fun game. I think it warrants comparison to a game that many of you might be familiar with, Can't Stop, designed by Sid Sackson. That's a classic push-your-luck game where you're also trying to advance pawns along a track. The difference there is that in that game, although you roll 4 dice, you're forced to divide those 4 dice into 2 pairs, whereas here you could make 4 separate dice. So you get a little bit more control in this game. Also in that game, because of the push-your-luck nature of it, you are able to continue to roll at the end of your turn, but you might lose progress if you bust. Here, you only have 1 roll per turn, so it's less of a push-your-luck game and more of a strategic roll-and-move game. Roll-and-move games, they often get a bad rep, but if done well, there could be a lot of fun in them. And this game, which plays in 20 minutes or so, I think that this is one of the exceptions to the rule that roll and move games are terrible. I did import this from Germany. It does come with English rules. I know that there was a compilation package of the Easy Play line. This game was included in it with 3 other games, all of which are terrific. I think it was Finito, Numeri, and Big Points. If you could track down that package, the Easy Play, I think XXL package, or this Level X game, I think you'll find that it's a really great filler, especially if you want to play a game with some kids or with people who aren't familiar with a lot of board games. Even with those who are, though, for a 20-minute dice game, it's a lot of fun, so I'd encourage you to check it out. That is Level X, and thank you for watching.